Imagine eating a meal with Stephen Colbert. Chances are you somehow offend him over the course of a typical dinner by saying something he finds offensive. What are the chances of that? 100%. Stephen Colbert is a Karen. He's a brittle, middle-aged woman who's always lecturing you about something. Whatever you think of her politics, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a sitting member of Congress. Preventing her or any other member of Congress from carrying out official duties as a public representative is, by definition, an attack on democracy. So how is what Stephen Colbert did different from what the protesters on January 6th have been convicted of doing? That's a very good question. And it's a question that Colbert himself spent the weekend thinking about. His conclusion? Well, unlike Trump voters, Stephen Colbert is a very good person. Therefore, any comparison to Trump voters is not simply ridiculous, it is a moral crime. Watch.
Now, it's predictable why these TV talkers are talking like this on the TV. They want to talk about something other than the January 6th hearings on the actual seditionist insurrection that led to the deaths of multiple people and the injury of over 140 police officers, but drawing any equivalence between rioters storming our Capitol to prevent the counting of electoral ballots and a cigar-chomping toy dog is a shameful and grotesque insult to the memory of everyone who died. And it obscenely trivializes the service and the courage the Capitol Police showed on that terrible day.
Yeah, it was a toy dog. It's shameful. In other words, when you criticize me, you're really criticizing the brave Capitol Police officers who arrested the people who worked for me, the ones who committed the crimes I asked them to commit. And I, for one, will not stand for that. That's what he just said. Now, what you have there is not so much an explanation. In fact, it doesn't explain anything. Instead, it's a master's class on whiny, rich, liberal self-righteousness. It's a distillation of a worldview that is so concise and so perfect, it is certain to be studied by cultural historians of the future seeking to understand how our civilization collapsed. Not only am I not sorry, you're the criminal for bringing it up. Stop hitting me, he screams as he punches you in the face. That is passive aggression taken to the level of art. And anyway, Colbert says, shut up. I'm a comedian with a toy dog. You can't criticize me. So the question really is Stephen Colbert a comedian? Well, if you're one of the relatively few people who still watches Stephen Colbert's show on CBS, you'll have to admit it is hard to tell. Most nights, Stephen Colbert sounds like the notably unfunny Karine Jean-Pierre. He sounds like a Biden flack, delivering whatever talking points the White House tells him to repeat. And if you doubt that, here's what it looks like.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden did it. He's our next president.
The biggest story continues to be the one you were thinking about when you weren't sleeping last night. And it's the one happening all over America, the protests in wake of the murder of George Floyd. And please don't buy the false narrative that these are lawless mobs. The vast majority of these protests have been peaceful. There's a simple, if extremely difficult solution: reduce the number of guns. We've done it before, and it worked. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a humanitarian crisis, but also it is a triumph of humanity. Take that, Putin.
Okay, so I might have the most privilege of any white person you've ever met. How do I identify that in my own life? Because if I have white privilege, I want to be able to identify it. Give me some hints as to my white privilege.
Vaccine! Get the vax, peasants! Surrender your guns, support Ukraine, and remember, it's called Kyiv now. This isn't comedy, it's a very sad midlife crisis, but more than that, it's information war being waged against television viewers on behalf of the Democratic Party. At least when the White House press secretary does it, she admits what she's doing. Colbert hides behind his former job as a comedian. It was all a joke! When people I don't like break into the Capitol, it's insurrection. When we do it, it's sketch comedy. Right. It's getting harder to maintain that lie, and here's how you know. Comedians have a sense of humor. It is, in fact, a job requirement, but Stephen Colbert does not. Stephen Colbert's lost his sense of humor, along with the critical distance and perspective that make humor possible. At this point, he's just a partisan scold. And you know that for certain, because even as he watched the QAnon shaman parade around the Capitol on January 6th, Stephen Colbert did not laugh. Now, an actual comedian, whatever his politics, would have found that spectacle hilarious because, let's be honest, it was.
Hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Yes.
You good, sir? You need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
I got shot in the face. Where are you? I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
Hey! This is the guy in the bearskin and the horned hat. That's not hilarious? Yes, it is hilarious. No, he's a seditious insurrectionist, said Colbert. He needs to go to jail. He's a terrorist. And when he was sent to jail, Colbert applauded. Now, that's how Maoist cadres act. That's not how comedians act. So Stephen Colbert may be a late-night host still for some reason, but he has zero sense of humor. He ought to step aside and let some young person who still gets the joke to have the job, but he won't. Here was Colbert on November 6, 2020. Watch.
And if you did not know that Joe Biden was getting close to 270, Donald Trump just provided all the proof you will ever need. True story. I'm wearing black tonight because I was getting dressed this afternoon, and I thought he might try some shenanigans, and it might be fitting to tell jokes while wearing something somber if he goes down that dark path. So we all knew he would do this. What I didn't know is that it would hurt so much.
Those are real tears. The only real thing about that show. We're not trying to belabor the point, but the guy's not a comedian. You watch a comedian, you think, that guy's hilarious. I'd love to meet him. Imagine eating a meal with Stephen Colbert. Chances are you somehow offend him over the course of a typical dinner by saying something he finds offensive. What are the chances of that? 100%. Stephen Colbert is a Karen. He's a brittle, middle-aged woman who's always lecturing you about something. In fact, he's Elizabeth Warren. They even look alike. Have you seen them in the same room recently? No. Sad. He was talented at one point. So was Robert Smigel. That's one of the Colbert employees who was also arrested last week. Smigel's been doing his dog puppet routine for 30 years. That's the one that Colbert is now hiding behind. It was just a dog puppet. The dog puppet was kind of funny during the Clinton administration. It is pure hackery now. Smigel keeps going because he's got a political message for you. I'm going to beat you over the head with my political message. Ah! No one laughs at Robert Smigel anymore. It's pathetic. Who's funnier, Robert Smigel or the guy who took pictures of himself at Nancy Pelosi's desk on January 6th? Be honest. It's not even close. The guy at Pelosi's desk is hilarious compared to the guy with the talking dog. And none of them is half as funny, again, sorry it's true, as Donald Trump. And how do you know that? Show us the late night host who said anything half as amusing as Trump's taco bowl tweet. Ever? Any of them? No, never. These people are so afraid, they're so terrified, holding on to their stupid jobs late into middle age, that how do they respond to Cinco de Mayo? Fawning over the indigenous cuisine of the Latinx community. Nobody likes that. And that's why, in the end, Stephen Colbert has not a single Hispanic viewer. His audience is entirely self-hating white liberals like him. So nobody watches anymore. And that's fine. That's CBS's problem. But don't tell us you're a comedian and therefore exempt from the normal rules of behavior and the normal federal laws about trespassing, because you're not.
In the modern world, the news of the day is a lot. Doesn't mean we can't have a great time taking it in. And if that sounds like something you might be interested in, make sure to tune in to Daily Caller Live with me, JoBob, each and every morning on the Daily Caller Live YouTube channel. Click the link in the description or the button on the screen to check it out.